the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm delighted to have over here Mariah Madza. Just tell you a little bit about how I met Mariah. Basically on Facebook, and she's someone that I started to follow after I got into a natural diet and healing myself with a natural diet and eating more raw. And I found her posts very educational and very inspiring. And then I went and bought her book called Heal Thyself. And I found that she had experimented with so many different diet methodologies. She had read all the books and she had actually given her critiques, the advantages and disadvantages of different diets. And I found her book extremely educational. And then I joined one of her challenges that she hosts on Facebook. And there I learned even more and got even more convinced why this is the best way to go when we are looking at taking our health in our own hands, becoming self-healers, and using the power of food to heal ourselves and the power of our natural diet. So I'm absolutely delighted when she agreed to be a part of this fruitful conversation that I host every month for anybody. It's absolutely free to join. So welcome, Mariah, and would you introduce yourself a little bit and your work?
Okay, so my name is Mariah Manatza. I'm a health coach and a author.
First of all, if you can just define for everybody present here, what do you call a natural diet?
Just the natural diet that we humans are designed to eat. So like our species appropriate diet, every animal in nature has a species appropriate diet. And if you examine any animal in nature, it's a very simple diet. And our diet is no different in that sense. I mean, the natural diet is the foods that grow in nature. So we're talking, fruits, all types of fruits, greens, raw veggies, nuts, seeds, everything that grows in a tree or a plant, but nothing that is processed or cooked technically or man-made in any way or killed or slaughtered. So that's how I would define our natural diet.
So how did you discover its merits, or how did you come onto this path? Because, the paradigm is so different. Everybody, from the moment that we are able to eat, our mothers put cooked food into our mouth. They put cow's milk into our mouth. And, there's so much processed food that is available to children. I mean, birthday parties are all about processed food. So how did you discover? Because surely none of us is born into it at the moment, sadly.
Not yet, maybe in another generation or two. So I, like most people, was suffering with health issues and symptoms. Pain started in my body from the age of 6, and I would find myself awake at night crying in the middle of the night. It was just in a lot of pain in my left leg. And this carried on throughout my childhood. Fast forward to my 20s, and my symptoms just progressively got worse. So not only was I dealing with leg pain by then, I was dealing with, alcoholism, because that is somewhat a toxicity disease. I mean, we want alcohol when we are toxic, and the cleaner we get, the less. Anyways, I dealt with acne. I dealt with cysts popping up all over my body, depression, like severely, lethargy, like tiredness, just extreme fatigue. I mean, it's hard to think back to all the symptoms I was dealing with because I don't deal with them anymore, but I'm trying to remember back to just what I was, dealing with, like dry scalp, dry skin, just pretty much everything. So
a lot of indications from your body that things were not quite right.
Yeah, I mean, the body expresses symptoms for a reason, and that's to, it's compensating. It's doing its best for, given the situation, but it's a sign to change. I mean, symptoms are not normal. I know they're socially accepted in terms of like, as soon as you're past the age of 30, they just call it aging. And that's where, you know, we get the dry skin and the wrinkles and the tiredness and the lack of energy and all this. This is just aging, right? Oh, I dealt with severe headaches like you wouldn't believe. I can't believe I didn't list that one. So like severe migraines, every 3 or 4 days, and they could last 3 or 4 days. You know, it was just debilitating. I mean, the first few doctors, one said it was hormonal and I was prescribed birth control. Another said, just gave me some Tylenol 3s, you know, to help. And then another one, you know, I got sleeping pills to help me sleep because I was then dealing with like poor sleeping patterns, insomnia. It just, you know, it snowballs from there. It just gets worse and worse the longer you don't address your issues. I was living on a farm at that time. I had just moved to that farm actually because I was starting to wake up to the issues with our food supply. So I thought that if I knew where all my food was coming from and it was organic, that I would heal. Because that's what I learned was that, you know, the reason why I wasn't healing probably was just because the food was not good in the city. And, but my health issues were getting worse on that farm. I was drinking a lot of raw milk. I was eating, you know, grass fed animals. I was, you know, doing everything right according to somebody who believes that animal products are healthy. But yet my health issues were just getting worse and worse. Like the pain was getting worse. My depression was worse. The cysts weren't going away. They were getting bigger. The headaches, they were just worse. Everything was worse and I couldn't figure it out. And I was just so like depressed about it. It was horrible. So fast forward one day, I went to a seed exchange because I collected seeds. I still do, from like various plants and whatnot. And I was selling seeds at the seed exchange. And this lady came up to me and she just said, you know, I can tell you're dealing with candida. You're sick. Your whole family's sick. She basically said, and she said, if one family member's sick, they're all sick. Now I understand why she said that was because obviously all the family members are eating the same. And so she recommended a book. It was Dr. Young PH Miracle, I believe that's what it's called. So I went and I read that book like that evening. We stopped by the bookstore, we picked it up and went home and read it. And that was the first time I ever like kind of a light bulb went off where I was like, oh, we don't have to eat animals. In fact, they're probably not healthy. And like, you know, like I was just like, I was shocked, but I was almost relieved too, because I mean, when I left this part out, but when I was living in the city, I did read this Eat Right for Your Blood Type, and I was a true vegetarian. So I actually eliminated meat for a good year, just from my diet when I was living in the city. So when I went to the farm, I started eating again. I started eating it again just because I had to make it for everyone and because I was already dealing with it. But I was relieved when I read that book. I was like, okay, like really, like we don't, like milk isn't healthy, eggs aren't healthy, and meat isn't healthy. And I already eliminated all the processed foods, so that wasn't an issue.
Yeah, but you can say in general what convinced you to understand that meat and milk is actually not healthy for us.
It's a stimulant. It's not. We're not designed to eat the flesh of a dead animal. And living on that farm, you know, and that's why I was so relieved when I found out it wasn't healthy, because it was getting to the point, you know, I was thinking about it and I was there, and like, you're married to the farm, you cannot leave. And then the process to bring meat to the table is like, there's not only the raising and the feeding of the animals and lots of inputs and outputs, but there's also the slaughter, the preservation, the equipment you need, the tools, the freezers, like, so living on the farm, I started realizing how unhealthy or how unnatural it was to go through all that. Like, do we really have to go through all that to bring food to the table? So in terms of getting back to your question, meat, I mean, meat is a stimulant, and the animal, when it's killed, that adrenaline, translates into the meat. And
You
we
mean the
eat
fear that the animal feels before it's being slaughtered, those fear hormones actually get transferred to the meat and therefore to us, right?
precisely, yes. And dairy, I mean, is highly mucus forming.
Mm.
It clogs us up with mucus. It's highly acidic, so the body must draw, calcium from our bones and our connective tissue to neutralize the acidity upon ingestion. So that's why we see like the highest amounts of osteoporosis and things like this among milk drinkers. And then eggs are just like a combination between the two. I mean, and they're just highly mucus forming, pus forming, just oh boy, yeah. So I mean,
So
dairy
after,
products,
hmm,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Go
I was
ahead,
just
please
gonna say
finish.
they just wreak havoc on human health, and humans don't really realize it. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that once you took these out of your diet, what changes did you personally observe in your body?
Well, I began feeling so much lighter, and just my head, like the brain fog started lifting. I do remember that. Like I started being able to think more clearly, because I do remember talking to people, and it's like the conversation goes through one ear and out the other, and you can't really register what they're saying. It's that brain fog. It's like you can't learn. And that started dissipating, and I started retaining information. That I remember that. I would read a book and I'd be like, wow, I can remember like the book. Before I would have to read it 3 times, if I was doing something for a course or school in the past. I would have to like read it over and over to drill it into my head. But that lifted. So I mean that's
Now that
the
you
the
mention it, I think I mean, I never thought about it, but I think I've experienced this as well because earlier I experienced the same that if I read a book, I have to sometimes I'm just reading and I'm like, I don't even remember what the last few pages said, and I have to go back and read it. But I just noticed that that I don't do that anymore. Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
amazing.
better memory, better retention, better attention, better presence.
Yeah,
Wow. So
the excess
clearly a
weight.
huge benefit in the mind.
Yeah, and just the excess weight or waste started coming off without even trying. Um, I mean, there was my skin cleared up like within a couple weeks. I remember that because I was dealing with so much like acne all over my skin. I mean, sometimes I see people out in public and like, younger guys sometimes, and I'm like, if you just eliminate the dairy, that'll all go away.
Yeah.
I'll just tell them. I don't know.
Wow. Hopefully one of them will take up that, advice and do it. But how was your journey towards a more raw or natural or living foods diet?
Um, so how was the transition,
Like
you're
how,
asking?
yeah, how did you progress to, because this is eliminating meat and dairy, but how did
Mhm.
you progress to not cooking and actually eating your foods in, raw or living foods, as we call it?
Well, I had probably the longest transition anybody learning this information ever would, because I came from the mucusless diet healing system. That's Arnold Ehret's work. And that's the first book that I really can say that I read that really, really spoke to me even louder than, Dr. Young's book. Dr. Young put me on the path, but reading Arnold Ehret's book is um, when it really clicked, right? So I basically changed my diet from, vegetables, meat, dairy, eggs, and grains to large salads. And I was starting, the day off with large salads for probably a good year before I even really went hard on the fruits. Um, so I would have like my first meal of breakfast, I would have like a large salad with steamed veggies because I was so toxic, and I would get headaches and I was weak, and so I just instinctively knew that I had to, I guess you could say, take things slowly. And
Mm.
so So I was eating a lot of cooked food, but not, not all cooked foods created equal. I'm talking steamed carrots, steamed peas, steamed squash, like steamed sweet potato, like, vegetables, plain. Um, I managed to, eat those on a salad. And then I would also have fruits or cooked fruits for the first few years. And then I gradually transitioned to more raw. So I think it was like year 2 where I was really eating like a lot of raw fruit in the morning. And then I would go to my salad. I was still having 3 meals a day. And then I went to 2 meals a day. Like it was so gradual though. So going fully raw wasn't until like year 7 or so. Like where I
Okay.
learned.
So what is your diet now? What is it that you eat now?
Now it's really simple. So I wake up, I start my day with water. I drink at least 2 liters, sometimes 3 on an empty stomach. Fresh, clean water, either distilled or spring water. Uh, I naturally begin my first meal around noon. That's usually when I get hungry. Sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's even 2. But and my first meal is just fruit. So usually it's one type of fruit. Today it was 2, so I had 6 large mangoes. I would have eaten more if I had more that were ripe, and because I was still hungry, I had 3 large bananas with that. The day before, I had just a lot of oranges. Like my coworker came in actually. She's never really seen me eat. She knows I eat fruit and things, but we don't really she's not in the office at the same time that I'm eating a lot of times, but she came in and she was like, "Oh, wow." She was like, "That's a lot of oranges." She's like, "That looks really acidic." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You want a few oranges?" And she did. She took a couple oranges, but like she couldn't believe it. So, yeah, I'll just eat like a large giant meal of fruit until I'm comfortably satisfied. And so it looks different every day, just whatever's available that I can find. And then I drink water in between lunch and dinner. And for dinner, I make a large salad. That's usually between 5 and 6 o'clock. I like to be finished eating by 7 because I like it to digest well and I like to get a good sleep. And so my large salad can be a salad with fruit, but that's not very often. Usually I want the savory, and I'll make a salad with like bell pepper, tomato, cucumber. I usually eat like a whole large cucumber while I'm making my salad because I'm hungry at that time. So every day I eat like a whole cucumber while I'm making dinner. And then I'll make a dressing like sometimes, but usually I'm too lazy to make a dressing. So I'll just take half an avocado, mash it up. I throw lemon in there, some chopped tomatoes, a little bit of water. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of maple syrup or some dates, and I'll just like mash it up to make it this like, nice dressing. And then I coat my salad with it and I massage it with my hands until it all gets in there. And then I just have this giant salad with half an avocado and all the veggies and veggie fruits. And so, yeah, I mean, my salad's the size of what like a family of 4 would eat. But
So if someone was looking to make a change, would you recommend a slow transition, or what is the transition that you would recommend if somebody is, let's say, on a standard diet? In India, mostly there are many vegetarians as well, but most of the people are heavily addicted to dairy. So there's a lot of curd, yogurt, but not the sweet one that we take as part of the meal. There's a lot of milk, there's ghee, there's butter, there's cream, there is a buttermilk drink, which is very popular with people. So that's actually more of an addiction, even more than meat. Even the meat eaters are not really eating meat at every meal in India. So,
yeah.
but there is a lot of processed food. There is a lot of things made with white flours, bread, biscuits, cakes, all of that. So how would you recommend that somebody starts making this transition?
Well, it looks different for everyone, and that's why it's so important for the individual to take their health into their own hands and understand this information so they can effectively do it, because everyone's in a different situation. But I mean, generally speaking, first thing is, pick the worst culprits in the diet. So say you eat dairy, meat, and eggs. Well, I would suggest, beginning with the dairy, even though the meat is pretty bad as well. But just from like, if you want somebody to, because when you see results, that's what makes you want to keep going. And so most people see results right away when they eliminate dairy, because dairy causes so many health issues. Like that's the acne, that's the mucus, that's, dairy is very heavy. And so that's like the cream and all that you mentioned in the cheese. So that's a lot for somebody. It just depends on their motivation level and what they're willing to do. But if they have to take it very slowly, I would say, pick one thing to eliminate. So dairy, for example, incorporate a large raw salad every day, no matter what. Even if you eat something, less than ideal, pair that with a salad. So for elimination purposes and for scrubbing of the intestinal tract and to get those healthy minerals in, and then try and eat one large fruit meal every day as well. But that can get tricky if you're coming just from meat and dairy, because as you know, some people have fermentation issues because it's not the fruit's fault when they're dealing with fermentation, it's the waste in their system. And so sometimes people have to do a little bit of cleaning before they can really handle full out raw fruit. But yeah.
In India, it's more of a grain-based diet. Like people eat a lot of wheat and they eat a lot of rice. And then there are lentils, a lot of lentils, different kinds of lentils, some amount of beans, and then, pickles and chutneys and those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
It's
the
mainly
fermented
grain and dairy that I think is causing the problem. Heavy
Sorry?
grain and I said
Okay.
it's primarily the heavy grain and dairy based diet that I think is the root cause of many of the ailments. Now, you've worked as a health coach for how many years have you worked as a health coach?
And so I've been working as a health coach about 8 years, I guess, now.
So you've obviously coached several people during this time. So
Yes.
what kind of chronic ailments do you see healed? Like, can you name some of the things that your clients have managed to heal by following this natural path?
Yes. I mean, there's just most people that experience symptoms, they have a long list of symptoms. And it's so common. I mean, I post testimonials periodically, but it's so common. I mean, for the basic symptoms to heal, I've seen tumors slowly disappear, and cysts also on myself. Um, and then all the basic stuff like just mood disorders in general. People, heal depression and all these mood disorders, like, and the tiredness and the lethargy and the adrenal fatigue, like just every type of symptom you can think of. I mean, we've seen people with, because everything's a medical label, right? So we name our symptoms, but when we provide the body with the correct conditions for health, health results from healthy living. So when we start living healthfully, it's like these symptoms just slowly heal. And that is one thing I want to mention, is that, some people get impatient and they want their symptoms to heal immediately. But what I found was that when you kind of just let go, because this is a lifestyle, it's not something you're just going to do for a year, heal your symptoms, and then go back to the foods that caused your health issues. When people just kind of let go and just trust the process, and that's what I finally did. Like, I used to focus a lot on things, right? I used to focus on every little symptom that it came up, or on my urine and the sediment, or, I was focusing on all kinds of things, and I was just becoming almost obsessive. But once I let go and just kind of trusted the process and just started enjoying it, the lifestyle more, and seeking out great fruits, and that's when like the symptoms disappeared, but you can't really pinpoint when it happened. But yeah, sorry, to answer your question though, I've seen like almost all the types of symptoms that we speak of minimize or disappear entirely. And the most
Are there
amazing,
sorry, yeah, are there a couple of examples that even surprised you when it happened? Anything
uh,
pops up?
yeah, well, I mean, with our support group, there was a woman, and this really surprised me because it happened so quickly. Because generally tumors, they can get worse before they get better. And this particular case, and it can go on for months, but this particular case, this woman, she had a tumor in her groin area, and it started getting very large, like because she was going through like a healing event, a healing crisis. And within a couple days, it got very, very large. Her family was freaking out. They were telling her to go to the medical doctors, and she didn't know what to do. And she was asking, everybody in the group, should I go? And no, obviously we're not going to tell her what to do. Just you take this information and you decide for herself. And she decided not to. And within a few days, I think it was, or under a week, it burst, drained, and started healing. And I
Wow.
think I was on the natural diet for about a year, but I could be wrong. Like, you know, so I mean, tumors take a long time to develop. And generally, they take a long time to undevelop or to disappear. But yeah, this one really surprised me at how quickly it happened.
So,
Yeah.
you mentioned the healing crisis. What kind of changes can people expect if they start eating more natural foods? What kind of healing crisis should they be prepared for? Can you speak about that a bit?
Yeah, well, it depends on your internal condition. It depends on many factors from your age to your encumbrance levels, like your internal condition. But for the average person, I mean, you can expect many symptoms to come and go as your body is healing, and they shouldn't deter you from, getting on this path. I mean, we must go through a certain amount of, I guess you could say, pain and hardship, for lack of a better word, in order to heal ourselves. It's just an inevitable part of the process. And so don't be afraid of it, because your body is always working for you, and your body, wants to heal. And so you can expect, all kinds of symptoms to arise, but then they do heal. And it's like you could expect headaches, or detox symptoms like cold and flu-like symptoms. You can expect, your skin to get a little worse before it gets better, itchy scalp, and then it'll go away. Like, there's just many things that happen. It's just the body eliminating garbage from within, and so it comes out in different ways in different people. So I mean, it could be a foul mood, it could be emotional detoxification, it could be all kinds of, leg pains, anything. So yeah.
Yeah, it could be like, for example, I have personally experienced cramping. I've experienced dizziness. I've been coughing up mucus forever, it seems. And also different, basically, I have rheumatoid arthritis. So I experience inflammation in my joints as well. And it's confusing because it happens if I slip on my diet and eat some cooked food or eat some heavy fat or something like that. And it also happens when I'm on all fruit and high salads and, completely raw. So I believe it can be a bit confusing because the symptoms of your disease are the ones that get highlighted when you're detoxing as well. Would you say that that is something you've observed?
Oh, yes, yes. And so it does confuse people. They want to know if it's detox or if it's, an issue. But I always say, as long as you're creating the correct conditions for health, then you got to trust your body. If you are eating, less than ideal foods, your body will also exhibit symptoms, because it's almost like as if once your body gets used to what it wants, you're giving it the correct fuel, and then you go and eat something that's less than ideal, then your body kind of freaks out, and it's like there's symptoms, like you can feel it. And also it's because the cleaner you get, the more you notice, the more in tune you are with yourself too, and the more you notice, before, when you're very toxic and you're just eating whatever every day, you kind of get used to that, and the body gets used to suppressing symptoms too. But now, when you're eating cleaner, the body's no longer, having to compensate and suppress as much. So you'll feel it. I mean, I remember going through a lot of kidney pain for quite some time, like the lower back pain. That
Yeah,
that really,
I've
out
experienced
the
that too.
yeah, but that went away as well. It's just as the body's healing, you're gonna feel it.
Yeah,
Don't
so
get
I just want to explain for people as well that when you start cleaning up your body, then all the toxins start getting released into the bloodstream. And the way the body flushes out is through the kidneys. And then all the toxins in the digestive system are flushed through your colon, and you might experience diarrhea. You might even experience constipation, depending on, what state your digestive system is in. And then there will be symptoms of cold and flu-like symptoms where the body is throwing out a lot of toxins through mucus. You might even get more earwax. You might get a cold. You might get mucus coming from your throat. You might get more of the deposits in your eyes. Like whenever I do an all fruit day, I get deposits in my eyes, which is showing me that there is a lot of mucus still stuck in my head, and that wants to drain out. So the body uses all these channels to throw out all the toxins that are available to it. Primarily your skin, could be your nose, your throat, your ears, your digestive system, your kidneys. Yeah, that's it, right? Did I miss anything?
all your eliminative channels.
Yeah, all your eliminative channels.
I mean,
And
even
as
through
these toxins go out, because many of them are acidic as well, they create some kind of discomfort. You might have burning in your urination, you might have excess mucus, you might even get fever. You'll get headaches because the toxins are now circulating in your bloodstream. So one good way to minimize the impact of this discomfort of detoxification or the crisis is to have more hydrating fruits and vegetables and water. Can you
yeah.
please speak a little bit about the importance of water and how much we need to be consuming?
I'll start with a quote by my good friend Lauren Whiteman, because I just love this quote, and it says it all. The solution for pollution is dilution, and we are polluted within. And so in order to, help minimize symptoms, because the acids that the body must eliminate from within, that's, the urinary tract infection, or that's the burning when you're peeing, or that's, even with people's diarrhea, it can be really uncomfortable. And so with everything, I mean, dehydration is a huge, huge problem, because our species appropriate diet is meant to be a diet of hydration. So from day one, we've been eating, dehydrating foods such as crackers, meat, dairy, anything. And so the body must overcompensate and draw water from it'll use the water within to compensate, and that causes the dehydration. So drinking water is like so important, like so important. I can't even tell you the benefits that I started, and I didn't incorporate water into my own routine until about year 7. And that's when I really saw like the weight coming off, the last little bit, or like just the skin clearing up, all the dry skin going. Like dehydration is just, if you have, it's just such an issue. So we recommend about, at least a gallon a day. That's 4 liters a day. Every day I drink 3, 4, sometimes 5 of these, but usually 4. And this is 1 liter bottle. And I mean, people that don't even change their diet that incorporate a lot of water notice a lot of benefits. There was this doctor, he wrote this book called The Body's Many Cries for Water. And instead of
Yeah.
prescribing pain, you read that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he was a medical doctor. He didn't know about the diet disease connection, but he did realize that his patients experienced healing of their symptoms or minimization of their symptoms just by incorporating extra water. And he was only recommending 2 to 3 liters a day. And he was seeing major, improvement in all the conditions that he dealt with. But yeah, I can't underestimate the importance of water,
And I
especially to
also think, yeah, sorry, please finish.
oh, especially to compensate for our past dietary, unnatural ways.
Yeah. And I also emphasize the importance of living water. It's not just about the water, it's also about making sure that our food is also hydrating us. All those things that we see about drink your water, like watermelon, melon, oranges, grapes,
Right.
all these juicy fruits that are available that are full of nourishing hydration, because it's also structured water straight from nature. And these fruits are full of fiber, and this water is full of vitamins, antioxidants, everything that the body needs. I mean, you can feel the difference for yourself. Just one day, substitute your cooked breakfast, whatever you might be having with grains and cereal or eggs and meat, whatever. Just eat a huge whole watermelon if you can. And just feel how your body feels, like right after a couple of hours later, 4 hours later, how does your body feel? Just go on eating a lot of fruit and hydrating vegetables. Just do it as an experiment for a day or a couple of days, choose a weekend, and just see the difference in your body. You will feel it. You don't have to believe what Mariah is saying or what I'm saying. Just do it, and your body will show you. When you feel the lightness, when you feel the hydration, when you will feel a difference. Even the mind, you will feel a little bit different, because this hydration is the highest hydration in the world,
Yeah,
the one that is coming straight from nature.
I agree. Yeah. I love how knowledgeable you are. It's great.
Do you think people like, who would you recommend this way of eating for? Is it for everybody, or is there anybody, and are there any precautions people should take before starting out adding more fruits and adding more salads into their diet?
Anyone can benefit from incorporating more natural foods into their diet. I find it kind of comical in a sense that people are so afraid to, like, what's going to happen if they eat healthier, but they're not afraid what's going to happen if you go through the McDonald's drive-through. It's like you should be more worried about what's going to happen if you eat the processed food or the junk food. But anybody can benefit from incorporating more fruits and more greens and more water into their diet. And if they're experiencing, some symptoms because, as a result, it's not the healthy food's fault, it's their internal condition, as we mentioned before. And sure, they may want to slow down and, still eat some steamed veggies with their salad for a while until they can handle, fresh, ripe, juicy fruits or eating a whole melon. But you just got to kind of understand the process, play it by ear, and just eat naturally. And yeah, anybody can benefit. If somebody's, highly dealing with some serious health issues, um, you know, they the mucusless diet healing system basically is a smooth, slow transition if they have time to just kind of take it easy. Because anybody that goes too quickly, it usually kind of overwhelms them, deters them,
Yes.
crazy
Yes.
symptoms. So you just want to take it slow and just incorporate some fruit, incorporate some salad, incorporate some water, start kicking out the unhealthy foods, and let your health will, as you heal, that's more motivation to continue. As I saw symptoms healing, I was like, I'm never going back. This is it. Finally, I'm feeling good. Like, so Yeah.
So there are some steps I would like to recommend to people who are watching. If they are completely new to this way of eating and they're hearing this information for the first time, and please add in, what you would recommend. I would recommend starting your day on fruit and also cutting down the amount of fat you're having in your diet. And fat primarily is coming from oils, is coming from meat, is coming from dairy products, and start cutting down the processed food in your diet. Just do that much and start adding salads before every meal. Even if you're eating cooked, just start adding larger and larger portions of salads. Just find some nice dressings that work for you, that are oil free, that probably use dates or some fruit, or use some um, um, uh, maybe some nuts and seeds to just or avocado or coconut or something like that to add more flavor to your salad. You just start with that, including more fruit, including more salads before your meals, and reducing the amount of fat, dairy, meat, processed food in your diet. That can be the first step. Once you're quite confident, or if you're already at this stage and you're still not relieved of your symptoms, then what you can do is make your entire breakfast just fruit and completely eliminate all fats for a certain time till you get the results that you're looking for. And also reduce the amount of grains you're eating. So if you've already reduced or cut out meat and dairy, next step is to cut down the amount of grains, all the wheat, all the millets, all the rice, all of that, and instead start favoring bigger salads and some lightly cooked vegetables, like some steamed vegetables, like cooked in a form of sabzi. We usually have a sabzi where we do some mild spicing with the it could be with some ginger, it could be with some roasted jeera. I don't know what's the English for that. Cumin, and maybe some turmeric. So, lightly spiced, simpler cooked vegetables, or soups, stir fries, that kind of stuff. Even that will give you remarkable results. I don't believe everybody has to go fully raw or fully on fruit to get results. It's only the chosen few like me or maybe you that need to
Yeah.
go all the way to get the results. Like, for example, I'm fully raw and I still experience inflammation, and it's only when I do a lot of periods of high fruit and just some simple salads with no seeds and nuts and all of that, then I experienced the best kind of health. So I believe that not everybody has to go that far. You can experience a lot of symptomatic relief simply by removing the processed food, the refined food, and increasing the amount of hydrating fruits and vegetables and reducing the amount of grains in your diet. So I hope that gives a lot of people, sort of next steps that they can go to, because people sometimes, get overwhelmed thinking, oh my God, people who are eating, let's say, a standard diet, and they're like, oh my God, I can't go on all fruit. I can't go all raw. I can't have just a salad for a meal. You don't have to. It's a journey. It's taken me 14, 15, 16 years to get here. So it's something that you can start right now. And everybody who starts this journey will experience results and will see changes, which will then encourage you to keep going deeper and deeper into this, because you will start wondering, if I can get so many beneficial changes just within 2 weeks or just within a month, I wonder what will happen if I do it for 6 months or I do it for a year. So that's what kind of encourages me to keep going, because I want to experience the highest potential of my health. So that's why I keep talking to people like Mariah, to inspire myself and to inspire all the people who are on this journey along with me, because I also work as a health coach and I have a community of people that I work with. So what would you say, Mariah?
I would just say that it's good to think in the terms of simplicity, because the simpler the diet, the less digestive mess there is to contend with, for lack of a better word. So, I mean, with each meal, some people are eating, if they're eating processed food or you know, some people are eating in upwards of 20, 30, 40 ingredients in a meal, and that's a digestive nightmare for the body. So like you said, you don't have to go fully raw, especially immediately. Everyone's at, you know, they have different thresholds of what they're willing to do. But if everybody just thinks in terms of simplicity, I mean, if I ever do have cooked vegetables, I mean, it's a good rule of thumb never to eat, you know, more than two types in a meal. If you're going to use a little spices, which, you know, they are a bit stimulating and not always, you know, easy on the digestive, then you don't want to, you know, mix too many types. You just want to continually try and simplify, and you'll notice a difference in your health. So that's what I do. I mean, and that's what I found a lot of results from as well, is just not to overdo it. We don't need to cram a million different types of foods into one meal to get all your omega-3s and all your fats and all your proteins. It's like, nature makes, you know, the food perfect, and as long as you have diversity over time, and as long as, you know, you don't overwhelm your body too much with too, because everything requires different digestive times, digestive, you know, juices.
Enzymes. Mm.
Yeah, enzymes, that's the word I was looking for. So you just want to simplify and keep it simple, just like the animals in nature, they're eating very simply. And I think that's where people experience the most results.
So I like that. When in doubt, simplify. So even
Yeah.
if you're at a grand buffet, just take less variety of things on your plate so that the body is not overwhelmed with having to digest a million things. It's
Yeah.
because every dish is so complicated. Like I'm sure it's the same over there, but in India, there's onions, there's tomatoes, there's ginger, there's turmeric, there is 10 different kinds of spices in everything. There's chilies, there's oil, there's some amount of cream. I mean, every dish itself can have 20, 30, 40 ingredients, even if you count each spice differently. So go for the ones that are simpler. Go for things that have less things mixed in them. Even that can be a starting point. I really like that. And another question, which is what about socializing? Because we have friends, we have family members that we are living with who are eating these complicated things and processed food and stimulating food, and all the junk and all that is available in the house. So if someone wants to start on this journey, how is it even possible living in this world with this family and this society? Because we can't cut off from our friends and family members. So what would you say?
Well, this is where I think it goes back to education once again, and you have to want it, you know, you have to want it badly, because it is going to require a certain amount of willpower. There's no magical way, but I mean, if you keep things light and simple, and I like to make a game of things as well sometimes, you know, like if I'm out and there's like, you know, say you're at a wedding and there's all these foods and everyone's eating, you know, I like to see how healthy can I make my meal, you know. And it's like, so sometimes I remember being at a potluck once and I actually noticed that nobody was really eating the salad. I took it all. I ate the whole thing. Everyone's looking at me, and but yeah, with family members, I know it's tough, and I cook for my family. I mean, my family's not all raw. Yeah, it took a while for me to, you know, for the cravings to go away. But the further you get into the diet and into this lifestyle, the less you'll want it. And it gets easier and easier over time, but it takes time. And so you have to honor the process. I mean, there have been a few times in the past where I broke down and had a few potatoes, but you know, I never felt guilty about it. I would just make sure I ate some salad with it. Okay, I did that. I got it out of my system. And then it would be, you know, another month or two until I did it again. And then as the years passed, it was, you know, every year that I would do that. And then, you know, so it's just, you have to want it badly. You have to stay the course and just do the best you can. And it does get easier over time. I mean, it,
Yeah, so what you're saying is that don't give up, just keep walking on the path again and again. And even if you fall and you go off track, just come back to it and do the, bare minimum, like you're saying, combining salad with whatever cooked thing that you're eating. And then again, coming back to rededicating yourself, getting in touch with your why you're doing this. Like people also speak about the why power being superior than the willpower now, because
Yeah.
you have to keep connecting with why you're doing it, how it aligns with your highest values, what is it that you're hoping to achieve by living a healthy life. And when you reconnect with your original reason for coming on this path and keep reminding yourself, it will give you more inner strength and power to overcome the cravings eventually. But I think it's consistency and persistence at the end of the day, the small things that we do every day that actually make a difference.
Yeah, I would fully agree. And another thing is that if you can manage to minimize or eliminate salt from the diet, that's huge, because salt is such a stimulant. And when the food is salted, you crave more and more, you want more and more. But I mean, when I cook for my family, I never use salt ever. And even if I am to take a bite of something, there's there's no stimulation there. There's nothing to make me want more and more. So I think
Actually,
that,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Please
no,
finish.
go ahead.
I was just saying that if you actually eat that food without salt, you realize how tasteless, bland, and pathetic it is.
Yeah,
But
most
when
cooked
you
food.
eat it with, because for example, I cannot eat cooked food without salt. If I've tried it because I've been trying to quit salt, but it was easier for me to quit cooked food than quit salt, you know?
Yeah,
Like with
yeah,
fruit, you don't need salt. So I just eat more and more of fruit. And with salads, you can get by putting some lemon juice or something like that. Although I still, crave salt even in my salads. And that shows me that even there are only, when I go on all fruit, then I can eat spinach all by itself or celery all by itself and feel, wow, this is so salty and savory and hits the right spot for me. But at other times, I mean, eating anything else is not, you realize how bland it is and how it's actually not our food, but it's only the oil, the spices, and the salt that is making it so addictive.
yes,
So,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I sometimes think that we can eat anything with salt.
yeah,
Like nobody would ever imagine biting into, like just catching a hen or a chicken and just biting into it. Nobody will ever do that. It has to be clean. And then even we will not bite into the raw flesh. It's only because we cook it, we spice it, we salt it, that we actually find it tasty.
exactly. And I mean, I have family members, they'll eat, some deep fried food if we're out at a restaurant, and they're like, "Oh, this is so good." And I'm like, anything tastes good if it's deep fried in oil. You could eat cardboard and it would taste good. It's just a salt, oil, and the sugar that you're craving. It's not that it's such a great, amazing food there. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
it's salt, oil, and sugar that's really got us. I mean, and I'm
Addicted.
not talking fruit sugar. I'm talking
Yeah.
processed sugar.
Yeah,
But
processed sugar. So what do you do when you go out for a meal, or you go to a party? What do you do?
well, I usually eat a whole bunch of food before I go. So I'll eat a bunch of fruit. I'll bring bananas and dates because those are my go to. They're more like heavier foods that I can reach for to kind of satiate myself.
Hmm.
But I mean, my rule of thumb at any restaurant is, because I do eat maybe out once a month with family, I'll just order two garden salads, dressing on the side, and most of the time I won't use the dressing. I'll try and get avocado instead. But if I do use a dressing, I'll just use like the tiniest little bit, or ask
Yeah,
for a vinaigrette so I don't get the
oil.
fatty
Hmm.
dressings, the oil. Yeah, I'm not really down with oil. I remember the last time I had some oil, I had a headache for a while, and
So
I'm not.
basically what you're saying, eat and go, because the more full we are, the less tempted we are to try out what someone else is eating. And
Yeah.
secondly, to choose restaurants, or if you're going for a family thing, maybe bring your own large salad to share with others and also to eat primarily by yourself. And also to choose restaurants that actually have healthy options available, have salads available. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
is something that you would. I mean, I do pretty much similar. I have very few restaurants that I go to, the ones that offer big salads and they are willing to make a guacamole for me as a dressing. That's where I normally go to. And also places which serve smoothies. Nowadays, there are lots of places that serve smoothies, but just make sure the smoothies are dairy free and preferably nut free as well, because it's not a good idea to mix fruits with nuts and seeds and all, but it's not the worst thing if you're going out. And
Yeah.
yeah. And somebody's asking, how do you navigate eating primarily raw during winter? Because it's so cold and one feels like having hot foods.
Well, I mean, I'm in Canada. I'm in a cold climate, and I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And what I do is, first of all, I grow sprouts I grow sprouts and greens, whatever I can grow, just on my windowsill in the winter for that. But in terms of the fruits, my freezer, I stock it full of local fresh fruit. That I can, make a smoothie or something if I'm in an emergency. So I always have like lots of fresh local fruit in my freezer, and then I'll just let that thaw out on my counter overnight. I never eat it frozen, but that's what I have for my backup. But otherwise, I just go to the grocery store like everyone else, and I'll buy a whole bunch of bananas. I mean, those are always a great staple, and they ripen I can never say that. They ripen
Nutritionist,
nutritively on your
nutritively.
shelf. But yeah, I mean, I just go to the grocery store like everybody else. We live in the age of convenience right now, and I'm not about to not take advantage of that. In the spring and summer, I grow as much as my own food as possible. I have fruit trees that I planted, and but in the winter, I'm hitting up the grocery store, and if we have an emergency and I can't get there, or the delivery trucks don't come, I've got a freezer full of fruit to last me for a month
Yeah,
or
but then
so.
do you like eating cold fruit during cold winter? I think that's what the question is about.
Oh, I never eat it cold. Like I said, I put it out on my counter the night before. Like I'll take, like, say, a bag of nectarines that I froze. I'll put it on the counter, or a bag of frozen cherries, and I'll let it thaw. So it's fully thawed, sitting in its juices, and then I'll eat it that way, or I'll just put it into a smoothie or something. I don't eat cold fruit
So you
unless it's.
basically fill up on high calorie fruit. That's what you're saying. Because that's what gives you the heat, the energy to keep your body heated up and feeling. And I would also say exercise. If you
Mhm.
add some exercise in the winter, or actually all through the year, but in the winter, just exercise a little bit more because it'll warm up your body.
It's also a
Then you won't
fallacy.
feel so
Like,
cold.
a lot of people believe, oh, I need the warm food in the winter, but the warm food actually requires more digestive energy than the raw fresh fruit
At
or
room
vegetable.
temperature. Yeah.
So you actually get colder, but in the moment you feel better. You're like, oh, this is warm, I like it, and it's comforting. But really, in all reality, cooked food is actually more digestive energy than raw food. So
Yeah.
make sure.
What is very interesting is that nobody ever questions why we are eating hot food when it's so hot outside.
Yeah.
People in India, like right now in North India, it's 45 Celsius. I mean, that's crazy. It's like 115, 118 in Fahrenheit. And people
Yeah.
are still drinking hot tea, eating hot meals, but nobody questions, how can I have hot food during the heat? But everybody questions, how can I have cold food during cold weather?
Yeah.
But if we were just to eat our food at room temperature, at ambient temperature, at normal temperatures, it's going to be far more beneficial for us all through the year, which is primarily fruits, salads, and so on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can't question tradition. It's always been done that way. So that's the way it
Yeah.
must be done.
Yeah, that's right. Now it's time to
We're-
question tradition, actually, because tradition has made humanity come to a point where they are in such a crisis for their health. Like the hospitals are full of people with all kinds of health issues, and even people sitting in their homes are complaining of all kinds of health issues. And my clients are getting younger and younger. When I started as a health coach about 12 years ago, I started in 2012. That time, I primarily had clients over 40 who were coming to me because they had high blood pressure or they had diabetes and so on. Now we get clients even in their late 20s who have PCOD, who have thyroid from teenage, who have who've started getting blood pressure issues and aches and pains and other diagnoses. Even in like 27, 29, 33, these are kind of the ages of people coming to me. So human health is definitely at a crisis, and we can't keep doing things that have always been done because that's what got us into this situation. And in fact, we need to stop and do a U-turn. And that's what we are talking about over here. Somebody is asking, we'll just take a few questions now. So people who have questions can put that in the chat. What's the role of vitamin tablets? Are they necessary, like pills, supplements?
Oh, supplements, absolutely not. The body, first of all, it's just, um, anything processed, anything man-made, anything powders, isolates, vitamins, protein powders, any of this stuff isn't recognized by the body as a whole food, and it'll just get passed off as waste anyways. It's not beneficial. I mean, we could get into different types of supplements and whatnot, but really it's just the body only, processes and recognizes whole food in its natural form in a natural way. If we're eating unnaturally, I mean, supplements are just so unnatural. I'm fortunate enough that I never, kind of got wrapped up in the supplement world, and I never supplemented ever. I did, try the herbs for maybe a month or two there until I just never gravitated towards them. And I attribute, a lot of my healing success just through avoiding a lot of the unnecessary and unnatural products that a lot of people, feel is necessary. But supplements, yeah, I mean, they're just
Herbs, supplements, vitamins, none of that. I
all
used to live in the US long time ago, and I was, worked in an office, and I would be like getting my lunch, and even then, I just was very fond of eating vegetables, even though I was a non-vegetarian, but I was very fond of eating a lot of vegetables. And my plate would always look a lot more colorful, from the cafeteria. And people would be having the usual, piece of meat, some bread, butter, that kind of stuff. And maybe just a little bit of soup, which looked pretty, drab. And they would look at my plate and they would look at their own plate and say, where did you get that from? Because mine would be green, it would have peppers, it would have olives, it might have a little hummus. I'm like, the same place where you got it. But they were not looking for this. They were looking for the potatoes and the meat and the
yeah.
sandwiches and the bread and the cheese and all of that. And I was heaping it up more with salads. But anyway, so this lady I was sitting with, she had her vitamin bottle because in the US everybody pops vitamins. I'm talking this is long time ago, 25 years ago. And she's, popping all these vitamins, and she said, "Where are your vitamins?" I was like, "I don't take these kind of vitamins." So where do you get your vitamins from? At that time, I didn't know about any, I was not a health coach, nothing like that. And I looked at my plate and it was green and red and yellow. And I was like, from this? You know, like,
Yeah.
and I was like, am I doing something wrong by not popping these pills? But inside, I knew, because I'd come from India, I guess, and we were not in a habit of having vitamins 25 years ago. I mean, they've just been popularized in recent times, with more American medicine becoming more mainstream over here as well, allopathic medicine. But since I was from India, I had that basic understanding that you get your nutrition from juicy, colorful fruits and vegetables. And
Exactly.
I just want everyone here to reconnect with their natural instinct. If the whole world can thrive, and if millions of species can thrive on their natural diet, why would humans be the forsaken ones by nature who have to manipulate and extract and put their food into factories in order to make it nutritious? In fact, it's the other way around. Everybody who's following the laws of nature, all the species living in the wild, pretty much live to their full expected age expectancy, except human beings. And they're not sick, they're not going to doctors, they're not going to nutritionists and dietitians to figure out what should we eat. It's only human beings who are so confused because we have forsaken common sense. Our nose, our tongue, our eyes, all of it is designed to identify our natural diet. It's when we fool it by manipulating the food, by spicing the food, by, flavoring the food and all that, that we get into trouble. If we were just to trust our nose and our tongue and our eyes and, just like, nobody would bite into a raw potato. Nobody would bite into a raw pumpkin. Nobody would bite into an animal. Nobody would go under, a lactating cow and try to suck from its udders. The thought is disgusting. So
Yeah.
just follow that instinct. Your nose and your tongue will guide you to what your proper diet is, provided you just allow nature to give it to you, just like it is providing to all the other species on the planet.
Well
We're the
said.
only ones, that are misaligned with nature. And that's why we suffer. All the suffering is because of just not listening to our own instincts. And we think we are so smart, we are so intelligent, we can fool our senses. Yes, we fool our senses, but then we end up in trouble.
Yeah.
And we get addicted. So
Yeah.
now I'm just going to take us off spotlight and answer all these questions. Somebody said, people with Parkinson's or nervous system disorders, malnutrition with older people, any guidelines to follow? So please go ahead and do that while I just bring, anybody can switch on their videos and come on screen. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, if a condition can be healed through our natural diet, it will be healed through our natural diet. And if it cannot be healed because of, because of such great damage to the body, it can still be improved through our natural diet. I mean, there's no reason not to incorporate our natural diet into our lives if we desire better health, because no matter what, that's our best chance, right? So I can't say that our natural diet's going to heal Parkinson's specifically without, I mean, only nature knows. But no matter what, if there's improvements to be made or healing to be made, it's going to be made through our natural diet. It's not going to be made through any other means. It's not going to be made through eating meat or eating unnaturally or eating processed foods or taking supplements or anything. So that's about it for that one.
Okay. And is the raw diet good for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, as it gives me diarrhea episodes, low BP, and too much weakness?
Well, it's not the diet that's giving you these symptoms, and that's what people need to understand. It's that's our internal condition. It's already present. Those symptoms may be a result of you know, it's already our internal condition. So what you want to do is possibly go slower. I mean, you don't have to jump into 100% raw immediately, but it does still help to incorporate a large salad meal and fruits and, you know, some steamed veggies, and to still just transition slowly towards it at your own pace. But regardless.
Yeah, going on a natural diet actually exposes the toxicity in the body. And that's why you get the discomfort. So if the discomfort is extreme, what Mariah is saying, just go slow. And by going slow, it means incorporate some amount of cooked food, which is simpler, like steamed food, less spices, and so on. So you're not toxifying your body, but at the same time, you're slowing down the detoxification process so that not all the toxins come all at once, and then you get all kinds of symptoms, and then you feel, oh my God, the diet is not working. It's not the diet. The natural diet is simply exposing the toxicity that is already present in the body. And by going slow, you slow down the exposure so that it's not causing you too much discomfort, so that you can still live your day-to-day life and fulfill your responsibilities, your job, whatever it might be. So if it's too much, just add in some steamed food and it will help slow down the detox. And once you're feeling better, again, you know, minimize the steamed and cooked food and start incorporating more raw and see how it goes. So like that, slowly, you can come on to a natural diet. So I'm glad, Anita, that you're showing me the thumbs up and your question is answered. Vrunda is asking, what about protein? Our favorite question.
Yes, well,
There can be no talk without answering this question.
So the body does require amino acids, which are the basic building blocks of protein, but not the complex protein. So like the complex protein, high protein foods, such as meat and beans and, you know, these foods that they recommend that we eat, they're actually too complex for the body. We need simple amino acids, and these are found readily in fruits and vegetables, and in the correct ratios for the human body, because that is our natural diet and our natural foods and what we're meant to eat. And so, you know, you don't have to worry about protein. We're actually a over-proteined society, and protein is highly, you know, high protein foods are very acidic, generally speaking.
Very
And
high
they
in fat as well, mostly. Very high
yeah,
in fat as well.
a lot of health issues. And so
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why we're in this, you know, epidemic of poor health as a society, as a world society. So,
and what is very interesting, I always ask, you know, anybody who asks me this question, have you ever heard of anybody who said that, oh my God, you know, this gentleman is in hospital because he had low protein? Have you ever heard about that?
no.
Protein deficiency doesn't exist except in the cases of starvation and malnutrition.
It's the
Every food has protein. Even mango has protein. Banana has protein. Every food is wholesome. Let nature worry about how much protein and fat and carbohydrates and vitamins and all that to put. You know, horses and giraffes and lizards and sparrows and butterflies and all of these, they never worry about how much protein, how much carbohydrate, and they're just flitting about and going about their life as they need to. We're the only ones obsessing about all these nutrients, breaking down our food, fragmenting our food, and then trying to eat protein from this and vitamin from that and that from that. I mean, we don't even know there are still nutrients being discovered in the food. So we don't even know what we need, but nature has made wholesome food perfect in nature for every species, including humans. So just follow a human specific diet. What is a human specific diet? Face it, in its raw natural form, whatever you can eat, that is a human specific diet. It's not rocket science, guys. What will you eat in its natural raw form? People share in the chat. What would you eat in its natural raw form? Without cooking, without spicing, without blending, without, you know, doing any, adding things into it, sugar, salt, oil. What could you eat in its natural form? It's very simple. It's not difficult. Yeah.
I was going to say they have us looking in the opposite direction, because everyone's worried about protein deficiency, but what's really happening is an over protein society. You know, people have too much protein in their diet, and everyone's worried about not getting enough. It's like backwards.
Yeah. So we have about 5 or 6 minutes left. There's one question that I want to handle, and then I'm going to ask you to just share a bit about your work and where people can find you, and then we'll have a closing question. So, in India, we have something called Ayurveda. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So someone has asked that Ayurveda recommends different body types eat different things, and raw can increase some problems for people who are of a particular body type called pitta. So should different body types be having different foods? Please bust this myth.
Well, I mean, it just sort of boils back down to that your internal condition dictates, how your body's going to respond and react to the change in diet. It's not that you require certain types of foods. You don't require warmer foods because we're not actually meant to be cooking our foods. But if you find yourself once again feeling like you need to go slower because you're not, maybe you're having the fermentation issues or certain symptoms arise because, a lot of us are so encumbered and full of waste that, different symptoms will arise as we turn to our natural diet, but that goes away over time if you stay the course. And so, I mean, I don't really know how to bust that myth
Yeah,
other than
I can have a go at it.
yeah,
So,
you're
yeah. So I believe that Ayurveda has it wrong. There, I said it.
yeah. I didn't want to be
Meaning,
so blunt,
there
but
are not there are not different types of bodies. Can you imagine if we went to the animal world and we said there are different types of bodies in elephants, and therefore they should be given different types of diets? Or there are different types of bodies in cows, and they should be given different types of diets? It doesn't exist. A species is similar. What is different, actually, is the kind of toxicity we have in our body. And that has to do with the kind of food we grew up eating, the kind of environment we live in, and the kind of emotions and thoughts, if somebody was in high stress and stuff. Ayurveda is about 3,000 years old. Human beings have been cooking their food for about 10,000 years. So Ayurveda was developed to overcome the diseases that were already existing because of going off nature's path. And maybe there were certain predominance of the types of toxicity or pollution people were having in their body. And that's how they came upon this theory of different kinds of bodies. Now, I'm not saying that it's all, I'm not sort of just throwing it out of the window. I'm sure there are people who have got a lot of benefits and blah, blah, blah. I respect that, because overall, they are talking about improving your diet, improving your lifestyle, cleansing. Their approach is a little bit different. What I'm saying is, you can take your own health in your own hands by following nature's path. This path is available to everybody. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to study for 5 years. You just have to connect to your natural instinct, your common sense, and to your body. Just eat this way, see how your body feels. Change a little bit, make some tweaks, see how your body feels. If your body feels better, do more of that. If your body feels heavier, constricted, down, your energy, do less of that. That's what we are talking about here. Whether it's about food, whether it's about exercise, whether it's about thinking habits, because I work as a holistic health coach, so I also incorporate our mind has a huge role to play. But that's another webinar, because that's kind of, you open up a whole Pandora's box if you go there. So to finish, I would love to know from you, Maria, where could people find you? How can they follow what you're teaching and learn more about your work?
Okay, I'll get into that. But first, I have to compliment you. You're just so well explaining these, it's just amazing. I love listening to you talk.
Thank you, Maria.
And yeah, I believe that Ayurveda was created as compensation for our natural ways. Unfortunately, a lot of products and a lot of ways are. It's just developed as compensation. But people can find me all over the place. I'm on Facebook. I help.
You can put your links in the chat if you want.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, you could do that, but just tell them, and I'm just going to put my link in the chat as well. Go ahead.
Sorry, you were telling me to put my links in the chat right now?
You can after you tell them where to find you.
Yes, so I'm on Facebook. I help run the Natural Diet Support Group on Facebook with Lauren Whiteman and Nat Ferris. So I also have my personal Facebook page where it's Mariah Mazza, and I share daily posts, you know, just information for people. I've got a book on Amazon titled Heal Thyself, Embracing Our Natural Diet for Optimal Health. You can find, I have a website. It's currently under construction, but I was posting regularly. It's applediaries.com. And I'm on, you know, Instagram, and it's fairly easy to find me if you're looking.
Okay, I've put your links, applediaries.com, the name of your book, your name by which people can find you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and wonderful. And those of you who wish to find me, just go to nandinigulati.com, and I host free webinars every week about holistic and natural health. And I feel that the mainstream medical system is broken, especially when it comes to chronic ailments, because I suffered from a number of chronic ailments. I lost my closest family members to badly managed chronic ailments by the medical system. And I'm on a mission to make the medical system redundant as much as I can in my lifetime by spreading the knowledge of natural and holistic health, and to empower people with chronic ailments to self-heal by using this education and experimenting and being courageous with their own bodies, and not giving the keys to their health and mental well-being to someone else. Yeah, using them as your team members, but doing it all yourself, taking the power back. That's what I do. And you can join my free webinars. I've put my website down there. And I would like you to finish off by just one thing that you would like people to remember. If there's one thing they could remember from this whole webinar and about what Mariah has taught, what is the one piece of advice that you would like to offer to people? Or one message you would like to give to anybody with a chronic ailment?
Well, what you put in is what you get out. Food is mood. What you eat today, you will crave tomorrow. So, I mean, all that encompasses that what we do today, you know, really determines our future, and where we're at today has everything to do with what we did in the past. So everything's connected, and moving forward, you know, just make better choices. And by doing that, I mean, not only will you have an impact on your own body and health, but you also have a great impact on those around you, whether you realize it or not. But we're all watching each other. It's all monkey see, monkey do. The more of us that become healthier and take our power back, and just, you know, it took years for my family to notice that what I was doing was the correct path, because at the beginning, you know, things don't always turn out. I mean, they turn out, but you're going through. I mean, the only constant in life, in nature, is that things are continually changing. So just you know, do the best you can, but take steps now. Don't wait till tomorrow, you know, and because a better you is a better world, inside and out. That's that just came out.
Yeah, nice. And I would just like to, I'm inspired by a quote by Nietzsche, who said, "There is more wisdom in your body than in all of the world's philosophies." So what I would say to people is, there is more wisdom in your body than in all of the world's medical systems, ancient or modern, trust your body.
Yes,
It's designed by nature to thrive, to flourish.
You want to try and avoid the medical world if you can, because I call them finishing houses. You know, you may do it to yourself without realizing it, you know, create the unhealthy condition. But if you go to these finishing houses, they may just, you know, kind of hasten your health or take it to a worse level. They're not going to help you. They're not going to help you. Only you can help you. So
yeah. Now, but I want to know from people your main takeaways from today's session. What are you taking away? What is the main thing that you've understood? What are you going to do differently that will make us feel very happy as health coaches that this conversation has changed something within you? So please put that in the takeaways. And in fact, I'll just keep it on and see what people are sharing. We'll just be finished in 2 to 3 minutes once I just read up a few of the things that people are writing. Go with your body's intelligence and go natural. Eat healthy to stay healthy. Okay, what else? What are your main takeaways? What did you get out of this session? What are the insights? What are the breakthroughs? Fruits till 4 is what somebody wants to commit to, going on fruits till 4 p.m. and listening to her body. Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Then another person says you can heal your body by natural diet. No need of vitamins, proteins, supplements. Yay! Monkey see, monkey do. Yeah, have better monkeys around you. Have monkeys like Nandini and Mariah and Orville Douglas and whatever, you know, whoever inspires you to be around you. I'm already off meat and need to increase fruits and vegetables and decrease grains. And yes, also fats. Cooking oils being the biggest culprits in the diet. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein and they are perfect for our body. Thank you for sharing that. Go slow and listen to the body. Yay! Thank you very much, Mariah, for coming on Fruitful Conversation today. And I'm very grateful for your time. I'm very grateful to everybody else who stayed the whole time with us and who came to listen to us. It's early morning in India and late night in EST if anybody's there. And thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next conversation. Bye for now.
Thank you.